110 seconds. 100 seconds. 90 seconds. 80 seconds. 70 seconds. 60 seconds. 50 seconds. 40 seconds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and
Well,
you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. This morning, talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. This morning, we got talk champion in the house, none other than the one and only Cacique.
Jay Stan, what's happening, brother? Greetings.
All is well, my friend. All is well, all is well, all is well. We also got in the house here the one and only Cornell Lewis.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
How are you, sir? A little tired. Didn't get too much sleep last night. That heat, man, is something.
Yes. Yes.
Even with the air conditioning on, man, I was miserable.
Yeah, heat wave is on us. So how you been, brother Cacique? I haven't seen you in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, I miss doing the show. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and but I've been staying busy. I opened up another chess club in Meriden.
Wow.
So I have one in Berlin and one in Meriden. I like to bring one to Hartford.
Expanding enterprise.
Well, chess is a sport that's growing, immensely all over the world, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. And I want to provide a space, for people to play chess in a competitive, fun, and safe environment. So that's what's happening. But I'm so happy that we have Cornell back. Cornell, thank you for taking some time out and coming to sit with us again. I want to talk a little bit about the the armed patrol that you guys did the other day.
September the 2nd. Yep.
Yeah. How was that, Cornell? What was the the reply from the community and in the naysayers? Because I know you have a lot of support, but I know there was also maybe some naysayers there.
Well, the response from the community was varied. We had some people that supported it. Some people didn't understand the concept of self-defense. And I always found that interesting because these were black and brown people, black and Puerto Rican people, and some other people. And the places where they grew up at or they are from historically always had self-defense as something that they could embrace. So there was a multi-layered response. The people responded to it in some aspects positively because they actually asked us to show up. And so that was a victory because they had not done that before. And as I told people, they watched us for a number of years go into suburbia as groups, gun groups, legal gun groups, and discipline groups, and protect people who were advocating for egalitarian rights. So they watched that, and then they came to us and asked for help. And so that was one aspect of it. Some naysayers in the community, they were diametrically opposed to it, but not for the reasons that you would think. There are people in the community that make their living from hollering about no guns in the community, peace, love, happiness, and soul train, whatever. And so some of those people came out, but the only reason they came out was because they were advocating for a position put forth by the power structure. And so we had that aspect. The police turned out, which surprised me. They came out. I counted 5 SUVs in the parking lot.
Now, what did they come out for? Did they come out there to support you? Did they engage with you and your group at all?
They engaged all right. As a matter of fact, they walked up to me as I was standing there, grinning like Louis Armstrong back in 1935, shaking my hand, asking me how I was doing.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, I'm doing okay. And so they say, well, we're here to support you and blah, blah, blah. I think part of the reason they showed up is because I had been making a case that people in the community, black and brown people in particular, have not trusted the police. And there were people saying that domestic terrorists and white supremacists and neo-Nazis have infiltrated the police, the military, the FBI, and other agencies. The Department of Justice has substantiated that with empirical evidence. And so I talked about that, and I think that comment and that analysis caused the police department to come out to show that they're with us. And when they showed up, I looked and I thought about the old blues singer, because my granddaddy listened to blues. The blues singer used to sing, "Don't tell me that you love me, baby. Show me that you love me." And, you know, the police say, "We love you." And they were grinning, but they're showing up, and other things does not gel with what they were saying. In other words, their actions don't gel with what's coming out of their mouths. So we had a varied response. We had people come from different parts of the state, New London and other places, to support us. And we had the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. black females and some other people. We had the John Brown Gun Club, which is mostly made up of white males. And then we had the Self-Defense Brigade and some other people who showed up to support us.
Outstanding. I'm so happy that you did that. I'm not sure, Cornell, if that is the correct response. I'll be honest with you, but I am fascinated by the idea that members of the community actually called you out there for some help, because it goes to show, where we're at. I'm not anti-police, and I'm not going to bash the police, but I will say this: we have to change everything that in terms of how police do work, because we cannot be angry at them. If their protocol says if someone makes a fast move and you fear for your life, you are legally and lawfully protected. You can kill that person. That's in their training. That's in their protocol. So we have to change all of that, and how they engage with the community, but with black and brown in general, because too many of us are dying.
Well,
so I'm so happy that the community called you out there, Cornell.
Well, like I said, the fact they called us out, and I told people this that came with us, and I said it in the media. The genie is out of the bottle now. People actually asked us to show up. Before, they would not have done that. That means there has been a shift in their worldview. And that is what has the power structure scared, because once the people go beyond asking Captain Boss, for help, and they go to other sources, the other sources can be controlled by the power structure. So the fact that the community actually came to us is a victory, and it was necessary for us to show up and to help them. And this is going to extend into other things, because we are actually going to train the people that asked us to show up in how to patrol. 5-person patrols, no less than 5-person patrols, and show them how it can be done with legal weapons and patrol without legal weapons. And so now we actually have a nucleus of people in the community that will have training that they will be able to modify if needed.
Yes. Well, Cornell, that's outstanding. That is outstanding. And I think it kind of puts law enforcement, on notice that, the community is willing to do whatever is necessary to protect themselves. I just want to remind our viewers and listeners, because I know that I'm pretty sure most of you forgot, but what Cornell is doing and other groups like that is completely tribal, and we are tribal. The tribe always protects itself, and that's what we're doing. So I just want to talk briefly about the meeting that they had at the Y a couple days ago. I think like a week ago. Yeah. It was like an announced occupation. They're announcing that they're coming, and that never works out. Innocent people get harassed, sometimes even killed by the police when they do these occupations that they do, where they send different agencies. Now here's the sad part about this. The FBI was involved. The FBI is as close to being, I said this before, is as close to being shut down as it's ever been in its history. The state police was involved. We have a scandal with the Connecticut State Police now that goes all the way up to the top, and it may even include people who retired. I suspect we're going to see some arrests, just like they're having that big deal in Virginia with the state police. Okay? The state's attorney was involved. These are people that their boss, a black woman, is under fire because white people are complaining about her. Okay? And then we have the Hartford police involved. What can I tell you, man? The chief of the Hartford police has completely lost control of the officers. They had a vote of no confidence, and the mayor, okay, a well-documented liar, right, has lost control and refused to remove that guy, even though he got a vote of no confidence. And let's not forget Chris Dukes and the crimes they committed against him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the people that were involved, the police officers that drove that narrative are still on the job. Why aren't they arrested? Why weren't they, charged with something? So the people that are supposed to talk to us about morality and about the law and being good citizens are the worst type of people in our society. So Cornell, I applaud you for what you're doing, and I want to thank you for that, man.
Well, I think that, thank you, number one, for that. But I just think that members of the oppressed in America have gotten to a point now where I believe they're starting to understand that what we face is critical. And that is what's driving their thinking. See, before, things would happen in the community and the power structure would always go and get black and brown people to act as a buffer between them and us. Calm things down, get the natives back on the reservation. But now you have groups that are actually distancing themselves from the leaders who come to us.
So-called leaders, Cornell.
So-called leaders. And Tracy Funny and other people that invited us to do this rally September 2nd, they said it plainly. We don't want the NAACP. Tracy Funny said we don't want Reverend Henry Brown and Mothers United Against Violence. We don't want religious leaders down here praying, holding hands, and not doing anything else for us. And what drove people to say things like that publicly is the fact that they're looking at the environment and we see the rise of an evil that has manifested itself and neo-Nazis marching in Florida. They even went to Disneyland. I'm like, what's happening?
We had them right here in Bristol.
Yeah, and I'm saying, brother, you rolling on Mickey Mouse and Snow White? What's going on? And people can see the evil. You ever watch Ghostbusters, and when the evil, as the English people used to say, was underground and in the sewers, and then it started to bubble up, and you could see it. Well, what we're looking at in America now is white supremacy bubbling up because it's afraid it's going to lose its hegemony. And so Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder could see what's happening in the environment. And you know what? People are responding to that, and they better, because the day will come, and I've been saying this for the last 5 or 6 years, that the people that are diametrically opposed to us will come in our communities, they're doing it now, and hunt us. And the reason they're hunting us is because they see that we have been placated with religion and other concepts, loving your enemy and things like that, to the point where we won't defend ourselves, some of us, and they think that they can come in and do whatever it is.
What they've been doing all along, Cornell.
They've been doing it all along, but they're coming out in the open now. If you understand the nature of a thing, you can predict what it's going to do. The nature of white supremacy, and I've always said it, is this: when it gets threatened, it destroys property, people, and institutions. That is what it is doing now. And people better wake up. In the days of Noah, as it was then, so shall it be today. See, everybody laughed at Noah, the biblical story, when he said it's going to rain. You better get in this ark, dude. You know, no, we're all right. when the first raindrops came and Noah closed the door, people wanted to get in. Too late. It's the same thing in this country now. We are proclaiming that white supremacy is making a move on us. And people are running around, no, we got to ignore it. No, God's going to save us. No, the government's going to save us. No, somebody's going to save us. Maybe if I burn some incense, that will save me. No, that's not going to save you. You have to save yourself, because salvation comes through struggle. In the days of Noah, as it was then, so shall it be again. And when white supremacy comes like an evil tsunami in our community, people's eyes will become open, and they will look for people like John Brown Gun Club, Self-Defense Brigade, and Huey P. Newton Gun Club. It will be too late.
So, brother, we got an upcoming election, and I contend that anyone who doesn't vote for Stan McCauley is a vote for white supremacy and racism. How do you feel about that, Cornell?
Well, the people need to vote for people that they want to see in office that will help them. If Stan McCauley is a voice for the people, he has connectivity with the people. People feel on a visceral level that he is the person, then they should vote. You should not vote for someone, if that's what you're going to do, just because they a Democrat, a Republican, or a member of the Whig Party. No, don't do that. Vote for somebody who has your self-interest at heart and who you know is going to help you and has proven that they're going to help you. What happens in America is this. Democrats and other people depend on a certain segment of the population to vote for them. And then after that, they don't deliver. When Joe Biden was elected, before he was elected, I saw black people in 95-degree heat coming across Albany Avenue, man. I thought it was a jailbreak. I'm serious. It looked like a jailbreak, brother, out of Folsom Prison. People running, canes, wheelchairs. I'm like, what is this? Lepers, man. It looked like people were crawling. It looked like one of them old Oral Robert tent revivals my grandmama used to make me watch when people come crawling up the aisle and they throw off their canes and everything and start doing the dance. And then when they got Joe Biden in there, people had to actually go to him and say, hey, what about the promises you made us about putting people on your staff that look like us? People that helped him in Carolina revive his candidacy and get his platform going. So what I'm saying is that you should not have to beg people to help you if you put them in office. And so somebody who has your best interest in heart will look out for you and will help you. So if it's Stan McCauley and you know that he's for the people, that is the person that you need to vote for. And you don't need to vote for somebody based on the fact that, well, I've always voted this way. No. What did Janet Jackson sing? What have you done for me lately? Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Democrat, Republican, what have you done? You know?
All right. Well, I just want our listeners and our viewers to know that I invited Tracy Funny to come on the show because she was one of the people that invited Minister Cornell down to to have a conversation about doing the armed patrols, and now we've had the first one. Now, Cornell, do you have others planned in the near future, or?
Yes, we are working with Tracy Funny. I mean the various gun groups and other people. We're working with Tracy Funny and people in the community to plan other patrols. As I said, first we have to train them in theory of why they need to do this and how they need to do it, and there's a strategy to it. You just can't run out there and say we patrol in the community. You have to know what you're doing. As Jesus once said, before you become my disciple, you must count the cost. And before we go out there and patrol in these communities that may or may not be dangerous, you got to count the cost, because there's a cost that comes with doing this, from those who see you as a threat, and from the power structure, and from other people. And so there are things planned, and right now we're not going to say where we're going to do the trainings and when they're going to come out. It'll be soon, but first we're going to get people actually trained into how to do it. Because if you remember, brother, when you and I and members of the Independentista movement, Francis Davila, Edwin Rosario, and other people patrolled the community, we did it in a systematic way. Many of us weren't packing, and maybe some of us was, and we didn't tell nobody.
Yes.
But we did it in a systematic way. And that is what we're going to convey to Tracy Funny and other people. But I also advise them that you can modify the information we give you to fit your particular situation. But we're going to give them the blueprint, how to patrol, and then we're actually going to train members of the community in hand-to-hand combat.
That's outstanding, Cornell. And big shout out to Tracy for having the courage, to do this, to initiate it, and then to follow through with it.
Yes.
So that's an incredible sign of leadership for a young person. So thank you for that, Tracy.
And also, we have to understand that there are moments in history that show a seismic change, a shift in what's going on. And when Tracy and the other people came and asked these groups for help, that represented a change in the thinking of the people towards a revolutionary view rather than the same old view. And when you say revolutionary view, people say, oh my God, he's talking about violence. No, get a dictionary and look at the word revolution, and then look at the Latin meaning, which means to go to the foundation of something. And so we are, or Tracy and other people are going to the foundation of what is wrong in their community, and they're seeking to turn it around, because a revolution can also mean a turning, you see. So they're turning away from that old paradigm of thinking, good trouble, we shall overcome. Instead of singing, we shall overrun, they're singing, we shall overcome. And so their revolutionary thinking is something that is historic and something that has caused them to want to make this change. And other people, they're not there yet, and they can't make that shift in their thinking. It's almost like driving an old stick shift car. Well, not old, but they still have them. You drive it and it's in first gear. You shift it to second gear, it's smoother. You get on the highway, don't see the police, you open it up in the third, and you moving. Well, some people in America, the oppressed, are still stuck on first gear. Yeah, they want to pray, they want to sing, they want to shout, and they want to hope things are going to get better. But there are some people like Tracy and others that have shifted ideologically and theoretically in the second gear because they see another avenue. But see, that doesn't come easily, because if you've been indoctrinated to think a certain way for years,
your whole lifetime,
yeah, when people show you something different, you, man, what are you talking about, man?
It's
That ain't.
completely, yeah.
Yeah. But then things happen to you and in your community, like shootings and murders and everything, and you don't see things changing, and then your viewpoint starts to evolve. So this is an evolution of the thinking of the people toward a revolutionary viewpoint, to get away from a viewpoint that, be honest, let's be honest, that has not helped them. I'll be honest about it. I'm not going to be in any relationship with anybody in terms of social activism if it's not bearing fruit. I'm not going to be in a relationship with anybody romantically if it ain't moving. I'm like Stevie Wonder. Ain't no use in us sitting down trying to work our problems out. We know the truth. We know the truth. Each other we must do without. So if somebody is not meeting your needs, or if a plan is not meeting your needs in terms of community safety or advocacy, then you need to get something or someone that can help you achieve that goal. Doesn't make them a bad person. It just means they're not meeting your needs. So why stay in a relationship about changing the community when the politicians and the religious leaders keep saying the same identical thing, and then 3 weeks later you come back and something else has happened, and you're going to go back to the same thing and ask for help and try to get that to solve the situation? No, that's crazy.
Well, that's like when I say a lot of times that we cannot look for the answers to our problems from the same people who give us the problems.
Right.
Now, there's been a lot of statements.
Okay.
But this is the first question.
First question.
There's a question from viewers.
Okay.
So one person says, being away from Hartford, my question is, what is being done to find out what is causing the violence? Where are the community support programs? Leaders need to show up and be heard and seen.
Well, Stan, that's beautiful, but I just want to say this. Mm-hmm. First of all, I love everything that Cornell said, because this very well could be the beginning of police reform. Okay? Mm-hmm. The way that communities police themselves. Mm-hmm. Now, Cornell, along with that, I would ask, have you or some of the other groups or the people that you're talking with, have you thought about a collaboration with the police, or is this just a community effort by itself?
Well, I was asked that right after the rally. And I said this. I said, either you're going to work with the police or you're not. You can't holler at the police on Monday and call them a bendejo, los bendejos, on Monday, and then on Wednesday when somebody take your flat screen TV, you want them to come in the community.
To help.
Yeah, to help. Either you invite them in or you don't. And here's what I told the people we did on Bellevue Street. When the drug dealers tried to sexually assault that woman, and I caught him and put a little something on him, we ain't going to talk about it, But people wanted to know how come the man had bite holes all in his back and stuff. I said, oh, my dog must have got him or something like that. My Doberman, But the point is, first we organized the people and went after the drug dealers. Then we went after the white suburban customers, ran them out the neighborhood because it was all black and Latino neighborhood and Latina neighborhood. Then, as a strategy, when them brothers started threatening me and showing their guns and things, then I asked people what they wanted to do. Then, as a strategy, we invited the police in to do a lot of the dirty work,
right,
that we didn't feel comfortable doing.
Okay.
So, as a strategy, if that's what you want to do, you can invite them in, but if you don't want to, then you can also take that road. But if you take that road, then you got to be prepared to do some other things, But if you're not prepared to do it, then you say, hey, boss, listen, I got some work for you over here, and it's got to be part of a strategy, You got to do A, B, and C, and maybe the police can beat D. That's what happened on Bellevue Street. The people marched. They ran out the suburbanites who came down there. And then when it got critical and the police were chomping at the bit, say, come on in. And they came in and they did their job and they were happy to get in.
And the community got their neighborhood back, Cornell.
Got their neighborhood back. But my point is this. Either you're going to work with them or you're not. As a collective, the community has to make that determination as to what they want to do. Now, September 2nd, the police were really happy to be up there. I mean, they were shaking hands with people, and I looked behind me as we were marching, and they were behind us, walking with us.
So the protectors had protection.
Hey, listen, we had enough protection, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, Smith & Wesson, Glock, AR-15, 9mm, 12 gauge. Oh, yeah, we had enough protection. and protection they couldn't see, off in the distance. But my point is, they wanted to be with us and to be seen with us. And so that's what people need to do. They need to make up their minds as to how they want to interact with the police. If it's part of an overall strategy, okay. But if you don't want them to be in your community, then you can do it that way.
Yeah, you can use them. You could use them as you see fit, like you say.
Yeah, as you say.
So Cornell, here's a question that, as you're speaking, came to mind. Right now, would you advise these groups that form like this to protect their neighborhood, their community? Would you advise them to also have, as part of their team and part of their strategy, some legal advice, a lawyer?
Yes.
Because at some point, when you have to engage with, with some villains and you let off a shot or whatever, and they're hurt, you're going to need some legal representation.
We have legal representation. That's a good point. A couple years ago, these same groups got together and had the first legal armed march down Albany Avenue. We consulted several lawyers, and we had a lawyer right there at Woodland and Albany Avenue when we started our march down to Ann Street with weapons out and weapons on display. So yes, you need legal representation just in case something goes awry. I agree with you. You just can't run out there and say, well, I'm going to do this and do that. You have to look at the legal ramifications of it and get a lawyer's point of view. For instance, the first legal march we had, a lawyer said, have your permits in plastic see-through, what do you call those things?
With the lanyard around your neck.
Yeah, around your neck. And I said, why? And he said, just so that they can't say you didn't have it and they can see that you do. I said, well, do we have to show it to them? The lawyer said, not necessarily, but there it is for them to see. There can be no doubt that you are legally armed. And so we said, well, they never do that to all them Trump people that show up at the state capitol with their guns, so why should we do it? So some black people got offended. But the lawyer said, rather than be offended, be safe. And that's what I said. And it made sense to me logically. Now, I said, well, man, but okay. So I have all this stuff up there, and other people had their stuff in their pockets ready, They didn't ask us.
Okay.
They did not ask us, but the lawyer said, just to be on the safe side, here's my recommendation.
Yeah. But the fact is that you don't have to show. You don't have to show that. So being on the safe side is just another form of harassment.
True.
That's what some people thought. But to your question about legal representation,
Yes.
the lawyer's job, him or her, or they or them, is to make sure that the fundio is covered
Yes.
at all times.
Yes.
And they said, here's the deal. Now, when we had that first march, we had AR-15s up to Yazoo in the trunk of the car. The lawyer said, well, if you take those things out, the law is kind of fuzzy in Connecticut. They may have something to say about it.
Yeah.
Or they may not. And they did. The police said, if you bring all them AR-15s out,
We're going to confiscate them.
that's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
That's exact. And man,
Yeah.
listen, brothers put the guns back in
Yeah.
the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
That was the advantage of having that legal representation there.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we got to Woodland and Albany, click, 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 trunks open, brothers got them, and the lawyer had already told us, and the brother said, but see, the law in some cases is vague. It reads one way, and then 2 paragraphs down, it reads another way.
Mm.
And it's up to the lawyer to interpret that
Mm.
and to tell you what to do for your own benefit.
Okay.
Your own interest.
Yeah. And so, yeah, legal representation is always needed in the event that something goes awry. And when you're out in the community dealing with hostile forces, sometimes things can go sideways real quick. And if it does, you better have some legal representation there so that you can maneuver through whatever comes about. I'll give you an example. For years, as you know, I fought in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions and fought Muay Thai with the elbows and things and the knees and the feet. The police told me you have to have a clear reason why you got in a fight with somebody and you put your hands on them. I say, well, if the chump swings on me, no, they said, we understand that, but you are a 4th degree black belt.
Mm.
You bust that man up, it got to be a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to always keep in mind that I got to give somebody an out.
Mm.
Okay, man, you talked about me, talked about my mama. Okay, I just don't want no trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But now if they put me in a situation where I have to defend myself, in a fight, anything can happen, as you well know. I've seen you box before. I've seen, so I know you looking like Joe Frazier up in that ring. You know, so you can put something on somebody, but you can put a little bit too much on somebody.
Yes, I agree.
And if you've been trained, then they're going to ask you, did you have to do all of that?
Right. Was that necessary?
Was that necessary?
But they never asked the police that.
True.
You see 8 cops on one dude, and then 3 more cops come running.
Right.
And just stomp him, kick him, punch him. And I always say,
well, you didn't have to do all that.
if citizens did that, they all be arrested.
Yeah.
But they doing it.
Yeah, so my point is, those are the things you have to be aware of, and legal representation can help you. I always have to have a good reason before I get in any fight. Now, if it's critical and I think I'm going to get hurt, then the lawyer on the side to help me work it out.
Yes.
Because the bust up is coming.
Yes.
You know, when I worked in detention, 5 of them boys used to say, Mr. Lewis, your hands don't work. We going to run up on you. I said, well, that's all right, dude. And I joke, I said, the first two going to the ER. They said, what? I said, whoever reached me first, they're going to be right there. But what about the other three? I said, well, I deal with that later. But who first? Who? You? Oh, Mr. Lewis, we just joking. Yeah, right. Louis, you know what I'm saying?
Testing the waters.
Yeah, they tested the waters. But
Yeah.
the point is, you have to be careful if you have training or if you have weapons or if you're advocating self-defense. There has to be clear reasons why you did what you did. Now, if it jumps off quick, then you do what you got to do.
Right.
If it comes like a thunderstorm,
Yeah, no,
boom!
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but if you see it coming from afar, say, man, let's,
Yeah, I'm leaving this. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So once again, Cornell, man, what an exciting conversation for me, because I do believe that this thing that you're doing in the North End of Hartford can be used as a prototype for other communities that are under siege. To kind of get some of that, get that back, get your community back. So your kids can go out there and play, and you can walk down the street and not feel like you're gonna be hit by a stray bullet. So I applaud you and Tracy and all the other people involved, and I just hope that something great comes out of this. That we can all come out like winners and share this knowledge, man, with with other people, so they can also learn that having a safe community is very, very possible, especially if you're willing to put in the work.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I just think that more and more people are starting to be part of this process. And the Self-Defense Brigade has been training people all over Connecticut for a while. This month on the 23rd, we're in New Britain training a group of women in self-defense, because women, I hate to say it in America, all over the world, but in America especially, women have a likelihood of being attacked, especially by men. So we have a lot of women that have reached out, and we're training them in self-defense for a nominal fee, and we bring all the equipment and everything. So this month on the 23rd, we'll be in New Britain. Last month, we were in Hebron, and the week before that, we were in East Hartford. 3 weeks before then. So people are being trained in various ways, and from the self-defense training, it often morphs into community defense. Once people get trained how to protect themselves and they see that it can work in their own lives, then they start looking around. Maybe we can do this in the community also. So it has benefits to it. And I think, like I said, we at a point in history now where we have to do this, because nobody seems to be coming to help us but us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
And that's why on this flyer, Self-Defense Brigade, right here, you can't see it, salvation through struggle. This represents what we want and what we need as a community, the Self-Defense Brigade. And self-determination is part of the equation, and self-defense is part of the equation. And we have to stop thinking of self-defense as something nasty or disagreeable to the taste in the mouth. When we say self-defense, people come out the woodwork. No, man, we got to leave it in the hands of the Lord. Okay, brother. No, man, we got to leave it in the hands of the police. Okay. We got to depend on the government. Okay, good. Where has that gotten you now? You see? And as I said, self-defense historically has been part all over the world of oppressed people because they want to make sure that they are safe. You cannot depend on the oppressor to help you.
So I would say right now that I put out a challenge to the churches. Yes. I put out a challenge to the churches, the priests, the bishops of all the churches, the black and brown churches in Hartford. Take your services to these hotspots and have them there. Stop being cowards. Accept my challenge. Let the community know that you care. And then for this brother from the NAACP, Corey Betts, call the show right now, because I know you're watching, and let us know why you oppose this. Because the NAACP is a defunct organization in Hartford. You're not doing anything. I'm surprised you even have a chapter. So instead of trying to trivialize the efforts that people are making, you should get behind them and support them. And if it doesn't work, at least you were part of it. But don't sit back and do nothing and then criticize, brother. That's a very bad look for you personally as a black man and for your the organization that you represent. That historically has had a lot of value in the community. But in Hartford, we really don't know where you're at. Where have you been with all this violence?
Well, let me say this. Only because you put out the challenge.
Yes.
Because they are out every Wednesday. They're not a church, but as an organization.
I'm talking about take your Sunday service.
Right.
Your 300, 400, 1,000 members.
Right.
And take it right to Barber Street.
Right, but but to the point of going into the community. You're not a church. They're not a church, so there's no service per se.
Who's not a church?
The NAACP.
I'm talking about the first cathedral in Mount Olive.
I understand that. But
but what I'm saying to Corey is instead of criticizing the efforts that Tracy and Cornell and others are doing, jump in there with them. Say, hey, how can I help? How can the NAACP make this happen? And at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense, but everybody put in an honest day's effort, then we can say that doesn't work. But I'm not going to be the one to criticize the community for what they're trying to do, and I'm not doing anything at all, period.
Right. That the only reason I'm saying something is because your statement is they are out. Now, maybe they're not effective, whatever the case is, but they are out every Wednesday. They're out there right now as we speak. So
yes.
Just so that you're aware.
No, I want them to have a full service stand, a Sunday service, bro.
They're not. We're not on the same page here.
Okay.
Leaving the service behind, you went from there to the NAACP.
Yes.
So the service is gone. Only because you said the churches need to be doing something out there. I'm saying to the NAACP's defense, in that you say they're not doing anything. They need to work with Brother Cornell.
Yes.
They are doing something. Maybe they need to do more. Maybe they need to hook up with.
What is it exactly that they're doing, Stan?
You have to go out there and see. They're out there right now. They're out there in the community. They'll be out there all day with a presence in the hotspot in the
Barber Street area.
In Barber Street area. I think the contention between them and Tracy was that it was an idea that she discussed with them, and they jumped into it without. That's the issue. Not that they aren't necessarily out there.
Okay.
So I'm just.
Well, thank you for clearing that.
Just so that you are aware.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Right.
Thank you for clearing that up.
That is the bone of contention, and
so they want to be in charge.
Well, they did something that people have claimed that the NAACP of Hartford and Greater NAACP based in New Haven has been doing for years. Some people claim they'll see something and then they will appropriate it and try to make it their own. So when Tracy told them what we were going to do, it was about 3.5 weeks away before we actually did it. She told them on a Monday, I think, and Wednesday they were out there in the parking lot. With a time frame, we're going to be out here at 3 different times during the day. That is something I told Tracy that we did on Bellevue Street when we were out there patrolling. And so that seems to be the bone of contention with the NAACP.
So they want credit.
No.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, all they had to do was Tracy invited them to come. And instead of coming and standing with us, they did it on their own. And then September the 2nd, there was a guy out there with an NAACP hat on, taking notes in a notebook of what we were doing, taking video. He never said anything to us. He never joined us, but he wanted to argue with Tracy about why there was a need for this. And then when I went to have some coffee and decompress, she called me and said they wanted to ask me to come back because they wanted to talk. And I said, talk about what? And the guy got on the phone and said, we would like to know what your plan is. I said, we've stated it over the course of several weeks. It's in the paper. It's on all 4 news networks in Hartford. It's clear. Well, I'd like for you to come back. I never went back. You know why? Because I'm not playing those linguistic games with them.
The mental wrestling.
Yeah, I'm not going through that, man. So I think that's where the rub comes with groups like this. See, everybody wants to be the HNIC, the head Negro in charge.
Right.
And in a war, some people lead, some people bring up equipment and supplies so that others can fight. Not everybody's equipped to be on the front lines. You don't put people on the front lines who are not equipped, because when we get out there on the field of social justice, I call it the Serengeti Plain of social justice, man, the lion out there.
Yes.
And the lion is coming out of the bushes.
Yes.
And he coming quick,
And unannounced.
Unannounced. So some people shouldn't be out there. Some people should, but the NAACP wants all the glory. You know what it's like? Some of these groups kill me. They don't know the first rule of hustling. If you ain't got none and you get a piece, then you got some. If you didn't have no money, as Granddaddy would say, then you get $10, then you got some money. Go with the sum. Mm-hmm. But see, the NAACP and these other groups, they want to eat the steak, eat the potatoes, eat the cobbler, and then they want to take the biscuits and sop the gravy off the plate. Wait a minute, and then do like me and my brother, lick the plate in front of mama and get cussed out. Lick the plate. That's what the NAACP and all these other people want to do. They don't leave nothing on the plate
for nobody else.
For a cockroach. See, cockroach can live off anything.
Yeah.
You understand? They don't leave nothing on the plate like some of these other groups. And then they wonder why people get mad. Well, brother, if you hustling and there's an apple pie, let me get some crust.
Something.
Well, I just want to share a little story that I was reading about this white man in Bristol, right? He was running some kind of farmer's market and another job. Mm-hmm. And he's a racist. He's been saying some very inflammatory things over the years. But recently he says that black people in this country are not going to get ahead because all their leadership is corrupt. And, a lot of black people are mad about that, but I want to know what they're mad about. Let's look at Hartford, for example.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Look at all the corrupt people that we've had over the years. That have had these community-based organizations, the money stolen, then they leave, and many times nothing happens. And look at the kind of leadership that we have here in Hartford. Well, all they do is support white supremacy and racism. And when you tell them that, you got a fight in your hands. So what is the deal with that statement? Did that man say something that was incorrect, or are people mad because he's a white man and he said it? What's the deal with that?
Well, anytime you have a system that supports oppression, you're going to have people that are part of the oppressed join the system.
Yes.
Because they get benefits.
Mm-hmm.
See, they get acknowledgement. They tell you you're somebody great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they give you a title.
Mm-hmm.
They let you come to rallies or events, and you give a prayer. You get up there and hoop and holler and scream, and you know you right Reverend Doctor or whatever it is. And so, what that man said can be applied to almost any ethnic group historically. You have people who are members of the oppressed that join the oppressor because they get something out
A benefit.
of it. Benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But see, what they don't understand is this. Sooner or later, the oppressor's going to turn on you.
Right.
I look at the great leader Geronimo. 40 years Geronimo fought the long hair, pale face in Arizona. They were scared of Geronimo. They got Chiricahua Apache to hunt Geronimo down. When they finally got Geronimo and put him on that cattle car, they took all the guns from the Apache scouts and put them in the same cattle car with Geronimo.
That's right.
Now, Geronimo didn't kill him. I always wonder why he didn't kill him on that cattle car. But they were all shipped off. My point is this. The oppressor will use you up to a point, and then when they don't have any further use for you,
When you lose value.
yeah, they get rid
To
of
them.
you. You have to understand something. White folks hated the Apache for a certain reason, because Geronimo said in Arizona, he said, is there not enough land for the white eye, pale face, and the Apache? In other words, you want it all.
Right.
And that's why they hated him. So they got his own people to hunt him down. They never would have found Geronimo where he was had them Apache not shown them.
Why are you going back that far, brother?
Well, I'm just saying.
Let's talk about Brother Malcolm. Who shot Malcolm?
Yeah.
We don't have to go back that far.
Well, I'm just
we
saying.
can use examples even, maybe today.
Well, here's another example. Okay, Fred Hampton got shot and assassinated
While he was laying in bed.
in Chicago. A black guy who later claimed, I didn't know what they was going to do. Yeah, right. He drew a detailed floor plan and gave it to the Chicago police.
They knew
now,
exactly
what did
where
he
he
get
was.
out of that? He got something out of it, but then later he said, my conscience bothered me. Yeah, right. But historically, people that are oppressed for whatever reason join the oppressor, and they sell their people out and themselves out for something that they think they need. And in the end, they find out that what they sold out for is not worth what happened. You see. So I'm just saying, what the man said, if you put it in context, may not be inaccurate, because that happens. And you know what? I don't know if what he said, black people are never going to get ahead because of their leaders sell out, but I can go along with this. Any group that's oppressed and puts their lot with the oppressor will suffer. And I give you one more example, and I've always found this one to be interesting. When I think his name was Hernan Cortez went into Mexico, the Aztec chief Montezuma was supreme. He had enemies. Cortez could not have subjugated the mighty Montezuma had he not had a lady that they changed her name to Maria Dona. You know, an Aztec woman that Cortez had seduced that went to Montezuma's enemies and linguistically convinced them to join Cortez against Montezuma.
And then they would be the kings or whatever.
But what they didn't understand was this. They didn't want Montezuma around. He was an inferior. He was an Aztec. He was an Indian. And the people helping him were Indians, including Maria Dona. She could not see that after they got through with Montezuma, they was going to destroy their entire civilization and even get rid of her. And to this day, that lady is called La Chingada, which means the screwed one. Mm-hmm. She is reviled in Mexico to this day because she put her lot in with Cortez. She got something out of it, but in the process, her entire way of life was destroyed.
Absolutely.
La Chingada.
And that's a beautiful story that you told, because it's a segue into what I've been talking about. And I'm going to say it again in case people are just tuning in or they didn't hear it. Right now in Hartford, any vote that's not for Stan McCauley is a vote for white supremacy and racism. You are going to vote for the enemy when you do that. I don't want to make this a political show. I'm just informing people. That's my job, is to share information. If you are not supporting Stan McCauley, you're on the wrong side of justice. And just like the stories that Cornell are telling us, a lot of people in Hartford are benefiting off the poverty and off the oppression of our people. And, you know, I feel like my job is to continue to expose them. So the community is, because this statement that this white man made is what I'm trying to illustrate. How do we combat that? Right? We expose these people and then we remove them from whatever positions they have and put community people in there.
Or we take another track and we do like Samson in the temple of the Philistines. We pull the pillars down and the whole building comes down on top of the Philistines, our enemies. And in the process, we're willing to go with the Philistine as long as you go with me. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at you at the building coming down.
Well, listen, that's a beautiful story, brother, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Listen to me, family. When Stan McCauley is elected mayor of this city, the pillars are going to fall down. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party will no longer be able to decide who's going to be our leader. So those are your pillars, and we're going to knock them down.
And they need to be pulled down, and your vote, if you decide to vote, need to go for somebody like Stan McCauley that can help bring those pillars down. And if not, then you're going to be in the same situation, and it's like that old spiritual, nobody's fault but mine, nobody's fault but mine. You know, if I die and my soul be lost, nobody's fault but mine. And you know what? If you stay in this position, nobody's fault but yours. Nobody's fault but yours, because you have allowed it to continue. Oppression can't continue if people decide to end it. Mm-hmm. It can't. But see, some people don't want it to end because that's all they know. And it's sad because you've been battered and pilloried and buffeted from side to side. That's all you know. To look at something different is challenging and scary. But who wants to stay in a condition where they keep being brutalized like this? You know, communities not safe. Do you know that monies come into Hartford from the federal government, and white supremacy and a white power structure controls the money, and they give it to whoever they want to? And
Absolutely.
It's usually not brown and black people.
Absolutely.
You mean to tell me $25 million coming to Hartford maybe annually for anti-violence stuff, and a state representative, not state representative, a state senator controls the money and gives it out to people that he decides, you know, should get the money? But they're living off of our misery, and we're glad to be in a photo op. We're glad just to be there grinning and skinning, you know, not asking for anything. And the power structure knows you're not going to ask for anything. That is why they treat you like they do. If they had respect for you, they wouldn't do that. But they know that you're a political prostitute and that you're going to lift your skirt. The question is not if you're going to lift it or not, but how high are you going to lift it? Because it's coming up. And what they give you is nowhere near what they get. So if you're going to sell out, brother, sell out good. You understand? Say, listen, boss, I want it all. Don't be talking about give me some crumbs. Say, listen, give me the pie, give me the knife. And like I used to do with my little brother when it was time to cut the apple pie, let me do the cutting. You understand? I determine the width of the apple pie. Not you.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
You get your own pie.
Yeah, get your own pie. Right. I ain't got to be bothered with that. I got mine. Right.
Well, family, it's been a great show today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I just want to remind everybody out there that I changed my name to Cacique to regain and to reclaim my identity and to keep my tradition, the legacy of my culture, my heritage. I want to keep that alive. And I recommend that people try to reclaim and regain your identity as a person of color, as an indigenous person, whatever you want to call yourself. Big shout out to Cornell and all the self-defense brigade warriors out there. Thank you for all you do. Big shout out to the ancestors for making this where we are today possible. And to all the great people of Hartford, man, keep working hard and let's use our heads. Let's not let these people manipulate us into making bad decisions for ourselves, our families, and our communities. Once again, thank you. I believe this is going to be our last show. Okay. Stan is running for mayor, as you all know, and when he becomes mayor, the show's not going to be able to go on. We'll revisit it at some point.
Yeah, we'll revisit it in November. We'll revisit it in November. There will be something.
But you know, the community loves the show. They like the information, and I'm very happy to be part of it. Thank you for the opportunity, and to all our listeners and our viewers, thank you for all your comments and your feedback. It's been great.
Right, we're taking a short sabbatical.
Okay.
Right. So we're stopping the morning productions until after November. Then we'll take an assessment as to where we go from there with the morning programs. So, yeah, unless we have a special pop up sometime, you never know.
Absolutely.
You never know.
We can come back. So yeah. So thank you so much, family, man. Blessings to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, the rest of your day, and I wish everyone health and success. Peace, family. Cacique.
All right, my friends.
Can I say one more
Absolutely.
thing? Langston Hughes wrote a poem called Negro. Negro, meek, docile, and kind. Beware the day they change their mind. That's it, by Langston Hughes.
That's beautiful, man. Beautiful.
All right, my friends. Special thanks to our guest this morning and Cacique for his continued making people aware of the things that are happening in and around your life. So we'll see you real soon, and stay informed, and don't sell out your community. Don't sell out your community. As Brother Cornell was saying, they're happy just because they get to introduce the oppressor.
Yeah, and stop taking pictures with these people. I remember I have to say this. Listen, I remember one time Will DeLeese Bermudez took a picture with Gloria Steinem, and I said, "Why do black and brown people insist on taking pictures with these racists?" And she writes back, "She's not a racist."
Gloria's not?
Yeah, that's what Will DeLeese said. She's not a. It's right on Facebook. It was so funny because you don't even know who you're taking a picture with. This lady is like one of the most terrible white women ever, and you're so happy that you got to be taking a picture with her. Stop that nonsense. Validate yourself. Give yourself some worth, black and brown people out there. Stop selling your own selves out.
Amen.
Well, historically, you got pictures of people grinning and skinning with the oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
We used to call them coons in Detroit.
Did that change?
Say, look at that coon, man.
They got so many names, bro. I remember, I think the Jamaicans used to call them coconuts.
I thought the Jamaican people called them boule. That's what I thought.
That was the Haitians.
Oh, that's a Haitian?
Yeah.
Okay, boule, cheap boule.
That's a French term.
Okay, that's French term?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my friends. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll be here for another hour. All right.
All right.
Y'all have a
Cornell.
great rest of your day. We'll see you. We'll see you next time. Bye bye. Yeah, that's Jay Hogarth in the background. Let's watch him take us out. There.